Thank you very much. And now, Mr. Fielder.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, Jim Fiedler with the Santa Clara Valley Water District. It's a pleasure to be here before the committee as my slides get on here. I just want to also mention that I'm going to describe our purification efforts in Santa Clara County. You've heard a lot about Southern California. There's some effort that we're doing in Silicon Valley that we think is going to help our area, and I'll describe that to you. And then at the conclusion of my talk, you have the opportunity to taste some of the water from our Advanced Purification Center. We have cups over here for you to taste. I also have the specs for the water, and I have the water specs compared to our conventional water treatment plant water, and I have that for the audience as well. And so we know there's water for you all to taste as well as members of the audience. So we look forward to that opportunity. And then while you're tasting the water, if time permits, we have a video of the online testimonials of the people from the public who have tasted the water, and they give us their immediate reaction to when they have tasted the water, so we can run that while you yourself taste the water. With that in mind, I just want to give you some background about who we are, like everyone else has done today, and I'll bring you back down to earth from our NASA adventure, which is very interesting, by the way. Who we are. We provide Silicon Valley safe, clean water for a healthy life, environment, and economy. And we do so in an interesting way. When you think of Santa Clara Valley Water District, you can think of Metropolitan Water District, the Orange County Water District, and also the LA County Public Works, who do flood control, because that's all rolled up into one agency in Santa Clara County. So we have the responsibility as a water wholesaler to provide clean, reliable water, both groundwater management and surface water deliveries. We are the importer for Santa Clara County of state and federal water, and we're also all the flood protection agency. You can think, we talked earlier about stormwater management. We, in fact, do stormwater management. We collect stormwater in local reservoirs and then recharge that water into our aquifer. You can see that described here on flood protection. And then as we do that, we're very mindful of how the effects are on the natural environment, making sure that we protect and help the environment thrive in our county. Who do we serve? Well, we're at the south end of San Francisco Bay, as you probably are aware. We serve 2 million people, 15 cities. We also have close to 5,000 individual well owners who still rely on the groundwater basin. And in fact, over half our water in Santa Clara County is pumped from the aquifer. So our job is to manage that basin. Because we've had historical subsidence, land has actually sank in Santa Clara County. Our management of the basin over the last close to 80 years has allowed us to best manage and protect the important integrity of the groundwater. And we have 13 water retailers who we then, in fact, sell water to. You've heard about importing water. Yes, over half our supplies in Santa Clara County are imported from the Sacramento Delta, either directly through the Delta or through the Delta watersheds. In fact, we're more reliant on a percentage basis than is Metropolitan Water District in Southern California, as you saw earlier in the presentation. So you can see up there over half our supplies currently imported. We're lucky to have local water sustainability, and we've stored that water in reservoirs, and then we recharge that. We have 5% currently that's used in our county for non-potable reuse. And we estimate that prior to the drought, we had 10% conservation savings. Obviously, during the drought, we were close to 30% savings from our 2013 water usage. But you can see that we're looking into expanding the use of recycled and purified water to reduce our reliance on imported water, as much as what you heard from Southern California. So here's the plan moving forward. As you see illustrated on this chart, our history has been using wastewater and treating it to a Title 22 quality for non-potable uses. The other thing that's interesting about Northern California versus Southern Cal, in Northern California, the drive towards recycled water has been driven as a waste disposal issue, which is why in the Bay Area you find most wastewater agencies have really advanced use of recycled water. Not so in Southern California, although wastewater agencies are doing it. It's really been a water supply issue for Southern California, and that you've already seen that described to you. Northern California it's been basically a waste disposal. Why? We've discharged into the San Francisco Bay, concerns about water quality in the Bay itself. So you see on this chart, you see our history has been the non-potable use and the estimates of going forward. We think we may have tapped out in a large of the more cost-effective use of the purple pipe systems. That being said, when you watch the Super Bowl in a couple of weeks, think 80% of the water used at Levi Stadium is recycled water, some of which comes from the Advanced Purification Center water that you'll taste shortly. But as we move forward in time, we recognize that is there a better way to provide a sustainable local water supply? We think there is with potable reuse. And you see some of the estimates and the goals that our board has set for us to expand the use of recycled water as a potable resource. And you see the goals to basically get to 20,000, increase our use of 22,000 by another 20 by 2020. And then you see by 2025, trying to go up as much as 45,000 acre feet. That's close to over 20% of the water supply in Santa Clara County when you all that combined. So what's it involved? You saw earlier in the presentation before the water cycle. I just want to describe that a little bit to you. Today, we primarily use the water in purple pipe. You take the wastewater, you treat it to a Title 22 standard, and then you use it for landscape irrigation, cooling towers, Levi Stadium, etc. And then we've also brought online our purification center that you see on the right side of that slide. And we bring that water, we blend that high-quality water with the Title 22 water to serve the needs of the non-potable customers. Why are we doing that? Providing a better quality water for non-potable uses, and then also to demonstrate the technology with that purification center and get our understanding of how to operate those systems as we migrate from using it as a blend for non-potable into tomorrow, as we call them there, either groundwater recharge or, very importantly, direct potable reuse. So here's the plan moving forward. This is a shot of basically a map of North Santa Clara County. To the north is where the bay is located, and you see at the top the expanded Silicon Valley Advanced Water Purification Center. What you see shown in the blue sort of dashed lines are potential alignments of piping to take that highly treated water when we expand that facility and then pipe it upstream into our groundwater recharge areas of Santa Clara County. And you see those ponds located there. They're generally along Highway 85 if you've been in Santa Clara County. You also see areas for potential injection wells. Then we have familiar recharge ponds located right there at the confluence of Highway 85 and Highway 101. You also see on the middle there, it says DPR to raw water. We're very fortunate that we have that yellow line on the slide is a raw water transmission line that serves as the source water for our conventional water treatment plants. We could also tap into that line and transfer this water not only for recharge, but also for direct potable to our water treatment plants to service to our treated water customers. So we have some estimate of cost that would entail. We're looking at up to $45,000 of potable reuse opportunity at a capital cost approaching $800 million, and then some ongoing operation and maintenance costs. These are our 2014 dollars. Obviously, as we more refine the system, we estimate that these costs will come in a little bit different, but these are our thoughts today. Our board has also given us direction to expedite the call for moving to purified water. And then, as I mentioned earlier, how could we move from a purified program to a more direct purified program? As I mentioned, we could pump this purified water into our raw water transmission system, basically the source water for our water treatment plants. And then we could then transport that water, which already exists today, those large diameter pipes, to our treated drinking water plants. We also have turnout that actually could then be used to also recharge our aquifer. The benefits of doing so, certainly less infrastructure is required because some of it already exists today. We have, the pipelines are shorter. There's no injection well potential that also has some other issues we have to deal with. They're simpler operations for us. So certainly that's one of the aspirations that we're looking at as we embark on this important effort to improve our use of recycled water. As I mentioned earlier, we brought online our Silicon Valley Advanced Water Purification Center. And again, if any of you are interested, we'll be happy to provide tours. We've done a number of tours for our community. It's a plan similar to what was described by Orange County Water District. It takes secondary effluent from the adjoining wastewater facility, goes through microfiltration, reverse osmosis, and UV light disinfection. And we are getting operator training, and then we use that water, 8 MGD today, to basically blend back into Title 22 water to serve non-potable customers. As was mentioned earlier, the importance of providing public input. So we recognize how do we gain public trust in using this water as a credible water source. So you see described on there are programs that we've undertaken in Santa Clara County, including tours. You can go online to our webpage and sign up for a tour. We do a number of tours a month where people walk through the plant, get an idea, and actually then taste the water at the conclusion of the tour. We have engagement with local stakeholders, our business community, our environmental community, the general public, the local universities. Very much interest in this technology and interest of how this could be our future water supply. A number of outreach events. And then public information and media interface. We've had the mayor of San Jose drink or taste the water. Our own board members have tasted. So a lot of good feedback. We've had NBC 11 Investigate come on and wanted to take the water and sample it and take it to an independent lab, which they did a number of months ago. Came back thumbs up in terms of the water quality that they saw from their independent lab. We talked about public perception. This is data from Santa Clara County. The question was asked, how would you feel about using advanced treated recycled water as an addition to the water supply of drinking water, that is, treated water with ultra filtration, reverse osmosis, and advanced oxidation. You can see the strongly favor and somewhat favor polling results, 62% of our public that we've surveyed. And so we know that's a great foundation to build stronger support for. We know our community is very interested. We're continuing our outreach efforts to really help instill that positive reaction and learn from what their feelings are about using this as a water source. So in summary, we've seen in Santa Clara County that the public response for purified water is very positive. We know there's issues with our expedited program. We have issues that they don't have in Southern California, or is not as a concern that they've had, with how do we deal with the RO concentrate from the reverse osmosis system. With Southern California is they have large outfalls that discharge that into the ocean. Our discharge is into the South San Francisco Bay. So we're very concerned about the economic or the environmental impacts to the Bay. We're certainly working with state agencies to make sure we have a solution that does not impact the natural environment, yet provides a safe, reliable disposal for the RO concentrate. Certainly the impact on those water rates. And right now we're looking at either a public-private partnership as we move forward or a expedited design build to help us move this project forward. And so in summary, too, DPR has the potential in Santa Clara County to really enhance and provide a drought-proof, locally sustainable water supply. With that, I'll stop, and then you can ask questions. But then I want to remind you, we have the water to taste, and we have a video to watch if we have it. Time allows.
Great, thank you. I think the way we will proceed here is that we'll take questions for this panel, provide an opportunity to taste the water, and then we will take public comment before we adjourn the session. Mr. Flynn, so astronauts have been drinking this recycled water at the space station for several years now, perhaps almost a decade, it sounds like. Have there been any studies done of their health, or is there any health-related data that you could share with us?
Yeah, extensive studies. I mean, we have very intrusive physiological monitoring of astronauts of all aspects, because there are a lot of other factors as well as recycled water being in microgravity. So there's a huge amount of data associated with any impacts that have happened due to recycling water. I can tell you the only one that I'm personally aware of is that in general, the water on the International Space Station is a little too pure, and so they don't like the lack of flavor. That lack of consistency. It's kind of a silky, milky kind of consistency, and it has absolutely no flavor associated with it, and there are complaints about that.
Okay. I think we asked Santa Clara, the issues with public health agencies. How have you been interfacing with public health, say, in Santa Clara County relative to use of water? What are their issues and concerns as you've moved into this project?
We certainly have worked with the Division of Drinking Water, and they've toured the facility. They work with our staff. The concern there, and when we're learning throughout the industry, is how do you make sure you have effective operators that have the training and certification necessary to ongoing manage these facilities. That's an ongoing industry issue, and we're certainly working with the industry experts, including the Division of Drinking Water, as they probe this matter. We also have meetings with our local county health administrators to really make them aware and certainly comfortable with the plans moving forward.
There's, in some cases, I believe that for some of the use of this water, you've got to do their daily testing, daily monitoring. Is that am I correct in that? And what kind of a challenge is that in terms of the driving up cost, if that's necessary?
You want
Go ahead.
Oh, well, again, we're following monitoring standards that have been set by the regional board as far as Title 22 water at the facility now. But we're also looking at similar practices that we do at our conventional water treatment plants to make sure we have regular monitoring. But that's an ongoing issue as well. How do you monitor, as we think about this moving forward, how do you provide effective monitoring that allows you to assess whether or not this water has in fact met specification? And if it hasn't met specs, do you have provisions at your facility that allow you to shut down without having the contaminated water move forward? Certainly, Orange County Water District has had great experience with real-time monitoring, and then also really assessing what impacts they have if they have to make any shutdowns or modifications to their process.
Great, thank you. Ms. Kim.
Quick question. What is the energy implication for water recycling? Just curious. And to what extent is the increased energy needed for indirect potable reuse or direct potable reuse?
The water, one of the studies we conducted was looking at this question, and I think our speaker from Orange County Water District alluded to it. If we look in Southern California in particular, the energy use for the IPR and the DPR and the advanced purification process is less than the getting the water from an imported supply, particularly over the State Water Project, where there's a lot of energy involved. So in terms of, I don't have the kilowatt information in front of me, but it makes sense from that perspective. So.
Yeah, I will say that the energy cost is primarily due to going through the RO membrane system, where we have to pressurize, as I think Orange County managed, about 150 pounds per square inch. That's compared to a few years ago with earlier membrane technology that required a much higher degree of pressure, which caused more energy costs to push that water through. But the question, I think, is with regard to comparing IPR versus DPR. Well, it's interesting because with IPR, you have to then put the water, you have to pump it upstream to a spreading basin. Then you let it percolate into the ground, but then you need energy to pump the water back out of the basin versus pressurizing it at one time and then running it through a conventional surface water system. So there may be a trade-off there. But the cost of energy, yes, it's not. There is energy. It's an energy-dependent exercise to actually pressurize the water, and it uses quite a bit of energy. But that's an issue we have to trade off. And again, with growing technology and membrane research, there may be opportunities to continue to get those costs to come down.
Right, thank you. Any other questions? Thank you. We will get you some water before you leave.
Thank you. All right.
And again, we will short break for short break for water, and then we'll take some public comment if need be.
All right. You said 4:30. Yeah, I was worried. 1, 2, 3.
If there's any public comment, I want to first of all thank all of those who came today and participated in the hearing, providing us with testimony. Fascinating hearing, very intriguing. I want to thank Nura Mulcaven on my staff, who has been staffing this committee and organizing our hearings, and I appreciate his great work. Thank you, Ms. Kim, for joining us today, and Mr. Chajian, who has moved on, but thank him for being here. This particular committee, we had scheduled a series of hearings. This is our last scheduled hearing. We will be moving forward to prepare a report for our colleagues in the legislature on providing them with information that we've gathered from these hearings and providing them also with some of our thoughts, findings, and things that should be considered by the legislature as we move forward in this era of water. I do want to provide an opportunity. The sergeant would turn on the mic in the middle of the room. If anybody wants to come and make a brief comment, more than welcome to do so. And also, I know that there are folks listening to us and watching us, and we'd be more than happy to receive public comment in a written form if anyone wants to provide any further comment. Is there anyone today who would like to provide some comment to the committee? Please come forward.
Thank you very much, Assemblymember. My name is Andrea Ventura. I'm the Toxics Program Manager for an organization called Clean Water Action. We have about 55,000 members here in California. And I have had the pleasure of being part of the advisory group to the expert panel on direct potable reuse that Ms. West talked about earlier. And what's really been beneficial about that is it's been a very collaborative approach. That group consists of water experts, water agency experts, some of the people who have spoken today, regulators, and members of the environmental community, of which I am one. And I think that that's an important matter that I want to bring to your attention, because I think the environmental community has something very important to contribute. One thing that we've all agreed in the work group is this is part of California. Direct potable reuse and recycled water in general is part of California's future water portfolio, but we have to get it right. If we don't get it right, it won't sustain us in the future. And I think there's a deep commitment that working together and bringing the environmental perspective as well to the table has been and will be very effective, not only in ensuring that we get it right, but also in ensuring that we have public confidence. That is another role that the environmental community can help play in educating the public about the reuse of water, the importance of it, and how we're making it safe in California. And what I would like to suggest to the legislature is two things. One is as you think about future policies and ways to move these kinds of programs forward in the state, keep that collaborative atmosphere. Bring in everybody, including the environmental community, to be part of that discussion. It'll get us there faster. The other thing is that while I work with some of the agency folks that spoke today on the fact that we can treat our water, we can make this something that's viable, I also work with other members in their same agencies that are saying, help us keep contaminants out of our water to begin with. And many of those initiatives come before this legislature in terms of pollution prevention initiatives. And I would urge our legislators to see those not only as environmental issues or public health issues, but also economic issues, because we can't always treat our way out of all of our problems. The less going in, the more viable that these programs are going to be going out and more economically sustainable. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. Any additional comment? Seeing none, again, let me thank all of you for being here. Thank those of you who have been watching us. And we appreciate everyone's being here. And again, thank you all. And this will conclude our hearing.